Hello guys, welcome back to the channel and to another video where today it's that time of the year. It's time to react to my 2023-24 Northern Premier League West Division predictions. Surely it can't be worse than last year, right? First off, the team I think will finish bottom of the league this season is Widnes. They really struggled at times last season and only just managed to survive after Skelmersdale's enforced relegation, which saw Widnes reprieved from the Interstep relegation playoffs. I don't think they'll be so lucky this time round, and I can sadly see them going down. I said Widnes would finish rock bottom, and they ended up in 9th. They were only 6 points off the playoffs as well, and looked like they were going to sneak in at times this season. Not a great start. After beating Lincoln United 2-1 away from home in the Interstep playoffs to secure promotion, Avro will play at Step 4 for the first time in the club's history this season. However, I think the step up in quality will be a bit too much for Avro, and they'll ultimately drop straight back down to the Northwest Counties. Yeah, this is an awful start, isn't it? In fairness, I think a lot of people assumed Avro would struggle due to the modest stature of the club, but fair play to them. They recruited well and played with a real togetherness that almost got them a spot in the playoffs if it wasn't for them tailing off near the back end of the season. Another horrendous prediction to start the video. Another team that can count themselves extremely lucky to still be in this league for the upcoming season is Hanley Town. They finished the 22-23 season level on points with Widnes, just avoiding the relegation playoff places by goal difference. I don't think they'll have the same fortune this time around, as I can see them slipping down into the uncertainty of the Interstep relegation playoffs this season. I'm not too ashamed of this prediction. If it wasn't for a late uptick in form, Hanley Town would have found themselves just above the drop zone in 18th. Still though, another one wrong. In 17th is Chase Town. You may think that finishing a very respectable 6th in the Midlands division last season bodes well for the Scholars going into the new season. However, the West Division is as open as it's ever been, and in my opinion a much stronger league than the Midlands and East divisions at Step 4. With that in mind, I could see Chase Town struggling, but crucially surviving next season. I was 6 places off with Chase Town, who flirted with the playoffs, but fell away into an extremely tight mid-table pack. I will admit to not having known much about them when making my pre-season predictions, hence why I placed them so low. Ending last season in 15th, I think Newcastle Town will finish in a similar position this campaign once again, comfortably avoiding relegation, but not likely to challenge for the top half either. Okay, I was only 2 places wrong with Newcastle Town, and as expected, it was a relatively uneventful mid-table season for them. Next. Comfortably winning the Northwest Counties Premier last season with an impressive tally of 95 points, I think the Motormen will impress in their first season back in the Northern Premier League since the turn of the millennium and finish comfortably mid-table. Right, I don't want to give too much away, but this is probably one of my best predictions in the list, although that's not really saying much, is it? Again though, a lot of people thought Vauxhall Motors would struggle with them being a newly promoted side, but they were never really in any danger of relegation and comfortably survived in 16th. Despite struggling in the early parts of last season and looking like strong favourites for the drop, the Perts recovered well under the guise of Paul McNally to finish strongly in 12th. I think they'll continue that momentum into the upcoming campaign and finish well in mid-table again this time around. From one of my best predictions in the list to one of my worst. In my defence though, who saw City of Liverpool doing as well as they did? You've got to give massive credit to Paul McNally for the job he's done. To finish 5th and get to a playoff final after finishing 12th the season before is an unbelievable achievement. 1874 dropped off a little bit last season after a really good showing in their debut campaign in this league. I don't think they'll hit those heights again this season, but by no means do I expect them to struggle either. A solid 13th for me. Yep, another shocker here. 1874 Northwich had been comfortably mid-table in their previous 2 seasons at this level, so I wrongly assumed they'd continue in the same vein. But nope, cut adrift at the bottom of the table for the majority of the season it was a horrid campaign for 1874, who will be playing back at Step 5 again next season. Hednesford are a difficult one to judge for me, coming down from the Southern Premier League Central Division last season. Uncertainty surrounding the club's future due to a failed takeover which saw them forced to resign from the league this season before being readmitted by the FA has certainly caused some unwanted turbulence. They'll no doubt be looking to bounce straight back up to Step 3, but I think a season of consolidation under their new ownership is on the cards. Another absolute stinker here. I knew Hednesford would have a difficult season following their off-field struggles behind the scenes following relegation from Step 3, but I didn't think it would be this bad. It looked like it was going to be back-to-back relegations as well, following a 19th place finish, but a reprieve means they'll remain at Step 4 for the 24-25 season, so a lucky escape for the Pitmen, but another awful prediction from me. Always there or thereabouts, challenging for playoffs, but seemingly always falling short, I think it'll be a similar story for Moseley. But with the strength and openness of the league this season, I could see them slipping further back into mid-table. I got a fair bit of stick for suggesting Moseley would fall short of their usual expectations of finishing in and around the playoffs, but despite getting this one wrong by 4 places, I was still proven right in a way. Moseley were way off it this season, slipping all the way down to 15th, but I still got it wrong, didn't I? Kidsgrove had a really strong season last time out, finishing 8th, and even made a late charge for the playoffs. I think they'll give it another good go this season. However, if previous seasons are to go by, another mid-table finish looks likely. Right. I can't wrap my head around what happened to Kidsgrove this season. They started the campaign on fire, winning their opening 7 games and sitting top of the table at the end of September. However, just 3 wins from their following 31 games in the league saw them slip all the way down to 18th, just 7 points above the bottom 2. Prescott Cables are a team that really shocked a lot of people last season, finishing 9th. After consistently hovering around the relegation places in previous seasons. There seems to be a lot more ambition around the club these days, which could see them make a shock run for the playoff spots, if not this season, then definitely in the not too distant future. Okay, before you all come for me in the comments, I want to give myself a little bit of credit with this one. I know I put Cables all the way down in 9th, but if you listen to the clip, I did say they could feasibly get into the playoffs, and that's exactly what they did, finishing 3rd, and even going one step further in winning them. Although I did still predict them well off, didn't I? Like Hednesford, Nantwich are a difficult one to judge, having been relegated from the Northern Premier League Premier Division last season. Combine the quality of the teams in this league with the hangover from relegation, and I think they're in for a season of consolidation. I'll be honest, I haven't really got a great deal to say about this prediction. I predicted Nantwich to finish in mid-table, and that's exactly what they did. To be fair, they did flirt with playoffs towards the back end of the campaign, but missed out by 6 points. After showing some really impressive end-of-season form last campaign, which nearly saw them sneak into the playoffs, I think Trafford will carry that momentum into this season, but once again, ultimately just miss out on the playoff. Other than my City-Liverpool prediction, this is probably my worst one in the list. I was a whole 10 places wrong with Trafford, who ended the season just above the drop zone in 17th. They looked certain to go down as well until Carl Marginson came in and steadied the ship in October. A really poor season overall for Trafford, who are usually up there in and around the playoffs. Hence my prediction. Runcorn Linnets have consistently finished in and around the playoffs in the last few seasons, but I'm predicting them to just miss out this time. I think the pain of losing the playoff final narrowly to Workington last season will dampen spirits a bit, and there could be a potential early season hangover that may scupper their playoff chances this time around. I thought Runcorn Linnets would fall off after the disappointment of the playoff final loss the year before, but credit to them. They bounced back well under the guise of Billy Painter. However, it was playoff heartbreak yet again for Linnets, despite a brilliant second place finish, losing 2-0 to City Liverpool in their playoff semi-final. The first team I'm predicting to make the playoffs is Bootle, which may come as a surprise to some of you, given they finished 13th last season. But hear me out. For starters, they've got David McNabb as their manager, and this guy knows how to get promoted from this league, as he's proved with Warrington Rylands. The Bucks are also building a really strong side, built on solid defence with the likes of young goalkeeper Owen Mooney coming in from Wigan, as well as experienced defender Leon Legg, who was playing in League 2 for Harrogate last season. Couple this
with plenty of attacking talent, and I think the Bucks are in for a really strong showing this season.
Finally, another prediction that I can be somewhat proud of. I said Bootle would come 5th, and they finished a place above in 4th. However, there was a fear that the Bucks season would fall apart once David McNabb departed to take the Berry job in September, but Mick McGrath did an excellent job to steer them to a playoff finish.
Witten Albion are a team that really excite me this season, and I've already said in my reaction to my predictions from last season that they'll be a shoo-in for playoffs this time around. They came so close last season, finishing 6th, and they look to have strengthened even further for this campaign, making some shrewd signings along with retaining the bulk of last season's squad. The capture of Export Vale legend Tom Pope from Congleton is a cherry on top of the icing on the cake and will add guaranteed goals to their lineup.
I thought Witten Albion would have kicked on from last season and secured a spot in the playoffs, especially with the talent that they have in their squad, but it was a repeat of the season before, finishing 6th yet again, just missing out on playoffs.
Despite their off-field struggles last season, Stalybridge looked to be moving in the right direction under new ownership, and have made some statement signings ahead of the 23-24 campaign under new boss James Kinsey. The ex-Wythenshawe Town gaffer has brought a number of familiar faces with him from his 5-year spell at Ericstone Park, as well as some serious talent from higher up the pyramid that combine to make up a competitive squad for the Celts. Former Chelsea prospect Alex Kawamia will be an excellent player at this level, having performed admirably for the likes of Macclesfield and Stafford Rangers in recent seasons. They've also added experienced defender Joe Bunny, also formerly of Macclesfield, to their ranks, who's also been given the captaincy ahead of the new season. All in all, Stalybridge looks set for a very strong season in the West Division, where I think they'll really challenge for automatic promotion.
I'm not really sure what happened to Stalybridge Celtic this season, but they seem to be always sat in 3rd for the longest time, before a late season collapse in form saw them slip out of playoff contention and all the way down into 12th.
Everything points towards Leek Town winning the league this season, but I'm not sure if it's a combination of bias, stupidity, or a bit of both, making me predict otherwise. They were consistently in and around the top of the East Division, and again here in the West Division, once they were laterally moved to this league a couple of years ago, but a combination of COVID and bad fortune has seen them continually miss out on promotion. They slipped up in their playoff semi-final last season, losing to Runcorn Linnets, and I'm not sure if this will spur them on or knock them back this campaign, but I think I'd be an idiot to bet against them at least making the top 2. For what it's worth, I think they'll just miss out on automatic promotion, but can still see them going up via the playoffs.
It's official. I'm an idiot. I had it all right there. I said Leek would win the league, but let my bias get in the way of what would have been my only correct prediction of the video. After a stuttering start to their league campaign, due to a brilliant run to the 4th qualifying round of the FA Cup, where they were narrowly defeated by AFC Fylde, Leek never looked back and ran away with the title, finishing 10 points above 2nd. And here it is, the prediction you've all been waiting for. Feel free to laugh at me in the comments.
I said it was possibly biased, keeping me from predicting Leek to win the league, which means you all know who I've put in first. Yes, I said it in my reaction to last season's predictions. I'm sticking my neck on the line and saying Clitheroe are going to win the league. I don't even think it's that rogue of a shout either. We reached the playoffs for the first time in at least my lifetime last season after years of steady improvement. We've kept the core of that squad together and brought in some real talent with a mix of youth and experience. Tying Sefton Gonzalez, Reece Webb-Foster and Cameron Lancaster down to contracts is brilliant business, and they'll be vital for us this season. And the addition of young French left winger Veron Parney, also on contract, will add skill, pace and guile to an already stacked attacking line. Scott Sefton, Ethan Kershaw and Mark Howarth will also add strength to our midfield, as well as experience in the league above, which will be vital if we do go on to win the league, as I'm predicting. Overall, David Dempsey has built arguably the best squad Clitheroe have had in decades, and it's incredibly exciting as a Clitheroe fan to see how far he can take us in his first full season as manager. The future is looking bright for the Blues on and off the pitch, with a growing fan base and ever-improving infrastructure around the club. I'm confident that we can capitalise on our current upward trajectory and make our way into the Premier Division as champions next season.
Yep, I got this one badly wrong. But as I said in the prediction, Clitheroe did have all the tools for a title challenge, but once David Dempsey was sacked at the end of September, the season started to unravel. A raft of injuries, constant changes to the squad, and inconsistent form under Danny Caldecott saw our title hopes quickly fade away. Fast forward to the beginning of April, and a 4-3 loss at home to Hanley was the final nail in the coffin for any playoff aspirations we had left, as it was for Danny Caldecott's time in charge of the Blues. However, a late resurgence under the interim guise of Jimmy Bell, albeit with nothing to play for at this point, gave us something to cheer about at least. Further to this, the news that Jimmy will take charge on a permanent basis at Shawbridge next season has put a much needed injection of hope into the fan base after an extremely disappointing campaign. However, we have been here before, so I'm not going to get too excited just yet about our promotion hopes for next season. Will that stop me from predicting Clitheroe to win the league next season? Well, I guess you'll have to wait and see. So guys, there you have it. 0 out of 20. I didn't think it was possible for me to do any worse in my predictions than last season, but here we are. Someone in the comments as well of my predictions video for this season did actually say I'd be lucky to get any of my predictions right. So fair play to DPC 1987. You knew I was an idiot long before I did. But guys, if you have enjoyed the video and me failing miserably to predict the Northern Premier League West Division, please do not forget to leave a like and of course subscribe to the channel for more awful prediction content coming your way this summer with notifications turned on as well, so you never miss that upload. But yeah, thank you so much for watching once again, and I'll see you in the next one.